Hello everyone, and welcome back to Cooking with Suzanne. I hope everyone is doing well. Today we're going to make a wonderful first course. We're working on the letter F, and it's a dish that we prepared at the restaurant that I absolutely loved. And the protein is fish, shellfish. We're going to be using beautiful sweet scallops, and we're going to prepare it with a wonderful avocado and citrus salad. So the first thing that we want to do is get started on our citrus salad. We have some beautiful fruits here. So the citrus that we're going to use today is 1 grapefruit, 1 orange, actually 2 oranges, 1 lemon, and 1 nice large lime. If you can't get a large lime, don't bother with it because it's really very difficult if you can only get very tiny segments from it. So what we're going to do is segment all the fruit, and each segment can also be called, if you see it in a recipe, could be called a supreme. It means the same thing. I cut off both ends until I can actually see the fruit. So there we have one end. Cut off the other end, and we're going to just take the knife and go down and around to remove the outer peel and also the white pith. And we're going to just use the fruit on the inside. So just take a bowl because you want to make sure you keep all the juices because it's this liquid plus the Riesling wine that's going to make our sauce. So you just go in between each one and just remove each supreme. So to this juice, I would put the grapefruit, the orange, the lemon, and the lime. I would segment all of them and then squeeze out all the juice that I'm going to show you here with the orange. So just take the rest in your hand and squeeze all that juice out so you're not wasting any of the fruit. There we go. Let me just wipe my hands. So you would do the same procedure with the grapefruit, the lime, the orange, and the lemon. Okay, so imagine that we did all of the fruits. I just want to show you that I have segmented some lemons, 1 lemon, 1 grapefruit, 1 orange, and 1 lime, and we have more orange here that we can add to the plate. And I'm just going to move this aside and grab a small pot. And what you want to do is take all the juice after doing all of the fruit and putting it in a small pot, along with 1/4 of a cup of Riesling wine. This is a dry Riesling. Whatever you happen to have that you like, that's what you should use. And for such a small amount of wine like this, I know that they often will say, use what you're going to drink. And in this case, I definitely recommend that. You're going to use such a small amount of wine, definitely use the wine that you're going to drink with this dish. Going to add just a teaspoon of sugar. This is a dry Riesling, so I'm going to just put about a teaspoon of sugar here. And our vanilla bean. Now this is a Madagascar vanilla. This is a half of a vanilla bean, but we're only going to use 1/4 of it. So let me just flatten this out. And I'll just use this knife. It'll be a little bit easier. I'm just going to cut right down the center. And we're just going to use 1/4 of a vanilla, just so you know. And take the back of your knife and just scrape, and that's called the caviar. That's on the inside of the vanilla bean. We will add the vanilla bean along with the caviar right in here. So those are our ingredients, and we're going to put this on the stove and bring it to a boil and then let it simmer very slowly for 10 to 15 minutes. just till you get to the right flavor. Definitely no longer than 15 minutes. And make sure it doesn't boil hard. You want it to be a very nice, soft simmer. Okay.
Chef, I have one question for you.
Yes.
So, my name's Bob, by the way.
That's Bob.
Yeah. I'm the wine director. And
Hey,
I
Bob.
think you're encroaching upon my wine director responsibilities when you're talking about, if I use this Riesling, it will be the pairing. And I'm a little bit upset, to be quite honest with you. So I don't know what we're going to do about
I
that.
think we discussed it ahead of time.
So when I get my wine pairing,
Right.
should it be the same?
It should be.
It should be.
It should be. Okay, so we have some more orange segments here, and I'm just going to grab a bowl. And what you want to do is you want to take the fruit. We definitely need to bring the liquid to a nice simmer. Let it simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes, and then it needs to come to room temperature. You don't want to pour it over the fruit while it's hot. Let the liquid come to room temperature, and then you do want to add it to your fruit because you want to macerate the fruit. You want the flavor of the vanilla bean to actually go into the fruit. So we'll put some orange segments in here. And we can put some grapefruit. And a couple of slices of lemons. So I made some of the wine and citrus and vanilla bean sauce already this morning, so it's ready to go. And we're just going to pour it over the fruit and just let that macerate. I would say if you have time to at least let it macerate for about an hour, that would be really lovely. And you can certainly go longer if you wanted to too. That is very, very nice. Okay, and then our final ingredient for this dish is some beautiful avocado, which I have already diced. And this is just a half here, which will be more than enough for Bob and I. But, and I would definitely say that this would serve 4 people, maybe even more. So here's an avocado that I have diced. I squeezed a piece of the lime juice right over the top of the avocado. And we will now season it with some kosher salt. You want everything to have big, full, everything should be flavored very nicely before you go ahead and actually assemble the dish. So here we have a little bit of black pepper, ready to start on our dish, which is searing the scallops. And I have them right over here. These are some nice dry scallops, which as you can see, I have taken them. I wanted to show you, this is a mussel that is actually attached. Usually they're attached to each scallop. You want to remove the mussel from every scallop because this is tough. This is not, you don't want to eat this. This is tough and not enjoyable. So if you see that attached to the mussel, be sure to remove that. So we have our scallops. I have them on paper towel just to make sure they're nice and dry before we go ahead and sear. We'll put a little bit of pepper on the scallops and a little bit of salt. Just a tiny, tiny, tiny bit. I don't think the scallops need much. Okay, I'm using grapeseed oil. You can use canola oil. I don't recommend olive oil because we do want our pan nice and hot and the olive oil will smoke. So I have in this bottle some grapeseed oil. So we're just going to, I would say you want to make sure that you have coated the bottom of your saute pan, and once it's nice and hot, we will go ahead and add our scallops. So for a first course, I'm thinking these are not very big. These are 10/20s, I would say. So I think 3 per person for a first course is actually pretty nice. and I think that will be perfect. And if you also want to take a look, I can grab a whisk and squeeze this wonderful sauce in here. And we're just gonna, you can see all the wonderful vanilla beans. And after it's been reduced, then you will take the vanilla bean out. What's really important here is to make sure that you don't keep turning your scallops. You want to let them cook. Leave them alone. I know you really get excited. You want to be able to turn them over. This should take 1 to 2 minutes depending on the size of the scallop. And the way to be able to really tell is you should be able to see the scallops starting to get a little bit dark around the edges. And if you can't see that, that means they're not quite ready yet. And we don't want to turn them until we can actually see them starting to get a nice crust around the edges. So we're getting there. But these are looking pretty nice. Now this is when I like to turn it down to medium. I'm going to just turn that down to medium and let the other side cook for just a little bit. This is when you would want, if you're interested in basting, this is when you would want to baste your scallops. You could just take a little bit of soft butter. And as I said, at the restaurant, we used to always use clarified butter because we didn't want it to burn. And hopefully this won't. So I'm just using regular butter here. I'm going to lift my pan so that I can take this butter, make sure it's very nicely melted. And then you can go, you really want to see some of that foam gone first. And then take the butter and start basting your scallops. See, our butter is nice and golden brown. It's not dark, it's a beautiful golden brown here, so it's beautiful. And I think these are probably done. Let me just press on them one more time. And they're perfect. There we go. Our scallops are ready. Here we go. Okay, our scallops look and smell. They smell delicious. They smell very, very sweet.
One of two ways to go, right? You can contrast it and go a little bit of sweetness, like a semi-dry Riesling or even a regular Riesling that has sweetness to contrast the acidity, or you kind of go along with and complement the acidity. And that's what we did, right, with a dry Riesling. And one of the things that you do need, I think, is, and I talked about it before, is you need weight. You need weight to carry it against the acidity in the dish and complement it. If it was a very thin wine, right, it wouldn't, and you just, it was gone the minute that you swallowed it, then it's not really imparting flavor. You want it to impart flavor similar to what the grapefruit will do and the orange will do, and it wants to take its turn as well, right, to complement that acidity in those fruits. So I think it's wonderful. 2015. It means once again that wines do age, whether they're white or whether they're red, they can age. Acid helps that aging process. So 2015 dry Riesling, Hermann J. Wiemer, spot on.
Yeah, definitely. And of course, I know that you probably mentioned that there are so many wonderful wineries in the Finger Lake region that produce such beautiful Riesling. This is the sauce. This is the wonderful Riesling wine and reduction with the wonderful vanilla bean. So I'm going to just take a little bit right over the top, okay? And then we will place our scallop right on the center. And we're going to go with 3. They smell.
How about if we go with 4 and 2?
Or 4 and 2, yes. This is a wonderful, refreshing first course for sure, and lots of delicious flavor here. And if you had any beautiful microgreens growing, this would be a wonderful time. I'm going to take that out because it just doesn't want to stay there. Be a wonderful time to top it with a little bit of microgreens, or even a little fresh edible flower would be very nice over the top. which is wonderful seared scallops with an avocado and citrus salad. So I definitely think this is something that you would love to make at home. So bon appetit, everyone. See you next time.